Linux is the only open source operating system, and it literally powers most of the world's servers, cloud environments, and like supercomputers. Linux is like a is a key part, one of the biggest parts of DevOps, because like many servers and cloud platforms and containers and everything run on Linux. So um, you might ask yourselves, but why do we keep using Linux? Why does it differ, right, from other OSs? Why are we key on talking about Linux, right? So first thing is Linux is open source. And if I say open source, can anybody tell me what I mean by that? Anybody?
Open source can be used by anybody and everybody.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
I said can be used by anybody or everybody. Like it's
Okay,
available.
okay. I will say you're correct. Yes.
You don't need subscription or probably license. So you don't need to buy it.
I didn't catch that.
Actually, you don't need subscription or need to get a license before you can install it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's true. So in summary, both of you are correct, right? And open source software it just means that code, like, or software that is designed to be publicly accessible, right? So anybody can see the software, anybody can modify the software, and anybody can distribute the software as they see fit, or the code. And for open source, there are different types of licenses. We have the MIT license, the GNU license, which you see here. You see, it says GNU. There are so many licenses that you can use, and whenever a license allows you to modify the software and use it as you can, there's no problem, right? And people prefer using open source. You will ask yourself because they have more control over that kind of software. Now, Linux is something you can go and contribute to. All these distributions, so under Linux, there are different distributions, things like Debian, Fedora, Linux, Arch Linux, Ubuntu. Ubuntu is one of the most popular ones, and you'll see a lot of people use that, right? People prefer because they can go and contribute, and they have more control about it, right? It's more also, people find open source software more secure and stable than other like proprietary softwares, like maybe let's say the Windows OS and all of that. And why is that? Anybody can view it, anybody can modify it, somebody can spot an error and correct it, right? So, and it's also more stable, and it has a community. So there are people who come around and just contribute, doesn't mean they are getting money from it or anything, but they come just for the benefit of that software. And open source does not mean that it's free of charge, but that can be a conversation for another day. So moving on. So Linux is open source, right, as we said. And because it's highly customizable, and I mentioned the different distributions, right? But each of these distributions, like as I mentioned, Debian, Fedora, Ubuntu, and Co., they all are designed for different use cases. Linux distribution itself is designed for servers and cloud environments, which is why it's important in DevOps. And Windows, by contrast, is a commercial OS, right? It's just designed for day-to-day use for customers and businesses. And Windows is, I would say, I can say that it's less technical than using a Linux OS, right? And that's that. It's not common in server environments, honestly. I hardly see anybody say they're provisioning anything on a Windows OS. And Mac OS is very similar to Linux because it is based on Unix. So this Unix that was highlighted here, sorry, here. So Mac OS is also like under Unix, and Linux is under Unix. So they are all very powerful operating system, both of them. Any command that you can use on Linux will also work in Mac OS. And for Mac users, our system already has a terminal that is very similar to Linux, right? So depending on your operating system, like you can have different access to a Linux or Unix-like environment. So for Mac, I can just provision my terminal. I think I'll show you here. So I can provision a terminal here. All right. This is how my terminal looks like. Well, let me make it less bold. This is how my terminal looks like on a Mac OS. It's already there. And Linux will also have something very similar. Any command I can run here, I'll be able to run on a Linux system, right? So for after, I think I've spoken about that, right? And most of you have mentioned that you've set up WSL. Who can tell me what's the full meaning of WSL? If you have set it up, what can you say? What's the full meaning? Anybody?
Yeah, Windows subsystem for Linux.
Thank you very much. It's called Windows Subsystem for Linux, right? And it allows you to run a Linux distribution directly on your Windows machine without using a virtual machine. And why people prefer it also is because it's very lightweight and it's a very easy way to set up your Linux environment. I think for most of you that did it, all you needed to do was open PowerShell as an administrator, then you ran maybe some commands, and that was it, right? It was pretty easy. It was fast. Am I correct?
Yes, you're right.
Perfect. And that's that. And we also said another option was multi-pass, right? You can use multi-pass on Windows or Mac OS or even if you have a Linux, you can set it up, right? And why people like multi-pass, people like Rashida on this call, it's because it allows you to like easily create, and manage Linux virtual machines. It's super nice. This is how it looks. All you needed to do was go to multi-pass here, right? Which was linked. You need to choose your OS. So for example, mine is a Mac OS. And I can see here, all I can do, I can choose to go here or go to their documentation and see, or I can just click here. And then it starts downloading. You see it's downloading this, but I'm not going to be downloading because I already have it installed, right? And these are commands. This is how I can launch an instance using my terminal. This is another way. But if I don't want to use this instance to launch, this commands to launch my multi-pass instance, Linux instance, they have a UI. So after you download, you install, you accept their pop-ups, accept, agree to their license, and then it redirects you to this page. That's how it works. Also, I'll be using multipass for this class, but just to maybe talk about the third option of how to set up a Linux virtual machine or something. There are people who use virtual machine like Mary, right? I think Mary, you mentioned you used one, and you use things like VirtualBox or maybe another virtualization tool. And a virtual machine is like running a separate computer inside your current operating system. So now I can have Mac, let's say my laptop is a Mac OS, I can run a Windows operating system inside my Mac. That's what virtual machine does. So it kind of like separates what I currently have, my operating system, from what I'm setting up. So that's why it's called virtual, right? Let's say it's I don't say imaginable, would be another synonym for virtual, something let's say temporary or so, right? And that's how it's used. Rashida will be, when she's taking the session on cloud, she would go in depth about virtual machine hypervisors and everything. So before we go ahead, can somebody tell me one reason? Yes, I have somebody's hand being raised. Okay. Rashida says funny, she's never used their UI. You see? Yeah, you could use their UI. So we said, why is Linux key, right, to the DevOps world? Can somebody just tell me one thing why I said it's key? Anybody?
Yeah, because most applications run on Linux OS.
That's correct. Like I mentioned, most servers and cloud platforms run on Linux, right? When you interact with platforms like AWS, Google Cloud, maybe Azure, you frequently work in like Linux environments. So these platforms either run Linux natively or they heavily support Linux for deploying and managing their infrastructure, right? And as a DevOps engineer, you'll be expected to manage and deploy applications on the cloud infrastructure, right? Which would mean working on Linux-based system. So understanding how Linux works, it's very important because that's the way you can manage this environment, right? And then we spoke about how Linux has a CLI. So a CLI means command line interface, right? So you have a choice. You can use this. So this CLI is the same thing. Okay, let me open up my Finder. So can you guys see my Finder? Right? Sometimes when I want to navigate my files, documents, and all of this, I can also do it here, right? But it's not nice to do it here because it has no graphical interface, right? So for example, now if I say maybe I go for PWD, which means print working directly, I can see my current path. And if I say LS, I can see all my files. So now assuming I want to enter my downloads, right? So I say change directory to downloads. People should know where about these commands. We'll go over them later on to downloads. I'm in my downloads file. If I say LS, I can see all my downloads. These are all the downloads I have there, right? So I'm just gonna clear. And you guys, I just showed you my Finder. Everything that was shown there is also here. But which one is easier to look at, please? This is easier to look at,
GUI.
right? Yeah, the graphical user interface is easier to look at, right? But then
Yeah.
this is faster. This is way, way faster and more flexible. I swear to God. Like anything you can do, like it has more features. Using this has more features than going through here, looking for documents, searching for this. Now, this is way better. Now, for example, even on my downloads, if I want to search for something, it might take longer, right? It might take longer. It's going to be loading, loading, loading. And it's not even going to be more, you see, it's going to just pop up so many things and I have to search through them. But if I want to do it here, it's way faster. That's the benefit of like using the GUI also. And then you do a lot of automation. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about shell scripting. And for the automation part, Linux is just like very customizable, right? And it supports robust automation through shell scripting. And that's why I say we're talking about tomorrow. And it's also, automation is the foundation of DevOps. I mean, when you meet a DevOps engineer, all they talk about is automation, 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 right? It's very important. We write scripts to automate routine tasks. If there's, assuming now every day I have to come and clear, let's say some logs. Imagine I have to come and do that every day manually when I can just write a script that says, oh, if logs is so, delete so as so duration, and then it runs every day. Is that not faster? And I've even forgotten about it and I've moved on with my life and I can focus on other things, right? That's why. Also, another key benefit is integration with containers, things like maybe Docker, which I think Rashida is supposed to take, and so many things. So, and also, don't forget, security is like literally one of the best benefits of using Linux, right? You can set permissions on your files. I'm pretty sure if I tell you to do that on the GUI, you probably don't know how to do it, to set permissions. Like maybe, okay, I don't want anybody to access this file. How do I do it? Can you even see anything that tells you here? You wouldn't get it easily, but on Linux, here you can do it. You can use commands like change mode, change owner, and all of those things. And yeah, that's why it's essential. So in summary, before I keep going, Linux is very essential, honestly. It's what most people use, and it's good for automating and deploying applications. And as a DevOps professional, you and Linux have to be best friends. That's all I will end with. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how, since I'm using multipass, I'm going to show you guys. So for multipass, once you install, you can launch an image. So all this Ubuntu 24.04 is a version of Linux. 22 is a lesser version. 20 is a lesser version. There's 18, there's 16. I can't remember the rest. I think my knowledge stops at 16. And if I want to launch an instance, I can start from here, name an instance, choose the number of CPU I want, memory disks, do I want to connect to a bridge network or add mount point and all of those things. But I don't want to do this, right? Because I've already launched an instance, but if I want, all I need to do is click launch. Very easy. So I have two instances here. I have one called primary and I have one selling Springer. So if you don't name your instance, it automatically gives you a name, which is this one. And this instance that is called primary, right? So I launched it using the terminal, which is why Rashida told you guys she never knew it had a UI. But I launched it using a terminal. So I first typed multipass verbose because I wanted to see all the commands they have. And then I was able to launch it. So I said multipass launch. I'm sorry, guys. When I was showing you this, did you notice this commands? Right? It says how to launch an LTS instance. This is another way to do it. I'm pretty sure that's what Rashida did. This is another way. Well, if you want to be lazy, you can use the UI. It's not laziness also. It's just more of like, I don't know, you don't want to suffer probably, but for learning sakes, I would advise you use your commands. And this was the command I ran. So multipass launch, the image number, right? 22.04, which is equivalent to what is here, this one, 22.04. All right. And I said the name should be primary. This C is the CPU cores that we spoke about. M is memory, and D is my, let me go right here, is the DIX. So CMD, that's all we need. All these ones are optional points. This is bridge network and 1 point. I will not even explain, don't even bother yourself about it. So this thing is equivalent to what is on this command. So which one do you think is easy? Anybody? Which would you choose? Would you prefer to run this command or come to the UI and do it? Which do you think it's easier for you? This is just like me doing a study case right now. I mean, case study.
Run the command.
Run the command, right? I agree with you. It's way, way faster. So that's that. As I mentioned, I'm not creating a new instance because I'll be downloading images and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to be working with primary today. So I'm going to open my shell. I don't know, why is it not clicking? No, I stopped it. So I'm starting it. I need to go to action, start. You can stop, you can suspend, and you can delete the instance and everything. And you can see the details of your instance here. So it's starting. While we wait for that, don't forget what I said. This is equivalent to this, but this is an instance that we're working in. This is on my local system. So while we're waiting for that, any questions before we move on? Any question, guys? Okay, so somebody's talking, I'll assume no. So yeah, once I started, it's going to tell me, welcome to Ubuntu, the version. It tells me is a GUN/Linux. GUN is a company that has Linux. It tells me the version, the image name. It tells me if I'm looking for documentations, I can go here. If I need management, if I need support, I can come here. It tells me the system information as of today. This is my system load 0.08. This is my, I think this should be my CPU usage. I've used 5.5% over 28. Okay, sorry, memory. This is memory usage. Okay, this is my DIX usage. Sorry, DIX usage 5.5 out of this. My memory usage. It tells you everything. It tells me about the IP. I'm not going to talk about IP version 4 or version 6 still. We talk about networking, right? Users logged in. So you can have multiple users on an instance, but I'm leaving that for Rashida to elaborate. And all of that, it just gives you details. And you see, the last time I logged in to this instance, you see it's telling you people Friday, October 4th, right? It's revealing my secrets and it tells you the IP address that I accessed it from. So now I'm going to go to my notes for you guys, and yeah, so this is what we're going to be doing, navigating the Linux file system. So we're going to learn how to use basic Linux commands. There's so many Linux commands to run. Like Linux is very, very in-depth. Like earlier, Rashida and I we're talking about what we'll cover, and she mentioned using aliases for you, teaching you guys alias. And I was like, I don't think it's necessary because I don't want to overwhelm you and make you give you like this information overload, you know? I want to just do basics, and along the way, as you're learning DevOps, you will learn more commands. You will learn shortcuts on how to do things, right? So first command for today is print your current working directory. So maybe for those of us that have our systems close by, can we access it, please? Let me know if you can access your system, or would you like to run these commands as I'm running them? Or would you prefer me just running them and then I give you maybe an assignment later and then you run them on your own? Let me know which ones you guys will prefer. You can use the chat box to let me know, or you can unmute yourself. Any?
For me, I'll prefer doing it later after seeing what you did.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. Run them later. Okay. Two people have mentioned later, I guess others want to talk. So I'll start then. So step one is to print your current working directory, right? So this command tells you where you are in the system. It shows your location in the directory structure. It's just like a map, right? So for example, now, if I say pwd, what does it tell me? I'm in home, Ubuntu. If I come to my local system, right? My local system, and I say pwd, it says, okay, yeah, in this directory, users MacBook Air. This just shows you where you are. Sometimes you need to know where you are to be able to do something, to be able to navigate to some directory. So when I say directory, it just means a folder, right? To be able to navigate and see what you want to do. So you need to know where you are in case if you are lost. So that's what the print pwd does. Print, it just means print working directory. So it's just like an abbreviation. Next up is the ls. So the ls lists files and directories. So you need to see the content in what a directory is, right? So for example, when I open this folder, this healthcare chatbot, if I open it, I can see all those files, right? So in the terminal, all it does, this ls means lists all files in this working directory. So you see all the files I have here. And if I come to my instance here and I say ls, it says this is all I have, home and snap. So when you see this blue, you see this looks boldened, right? And if I come here, you'll see some look boldened. This looks boldened. So all the ones that look boldened means it's a folder. And the ones that are just plain white text depends on your type of terminal also, right? That it would show you this kind of edit. And the ones that are just plain are just files. You will see files end with dot something, an extension, dot YAML, dot CRT, dot JSON. And you'll see folders are just, they don't have any dot and they're mostly bolded, right? So that's what ls is for, to list the files or folders in that current directory you're in. Good. Now we have cd. cd means to change directory, right? It means, okay, if I want to enter another directory, another folder to another, I'll say cd the name of that place. And this it says that, just think of this like as you're changing locations, right? Because now look at this. If I say cd home, I go in. You see already it has picked this up and says home. If I say pwd, what does it say? I'm in home, Ubuntu, in another directory called home. If I say ls in this home directory, because I want to see what's inside this folder, right? Look at what it shows me. It shows me everything on my local system. The same files that are here are the same things here, guys. But this is an instance. This is my local system. You see, it works the same way. Great. And then it shows you this, right? So PWD says we're in home, LS shows me my files and that. Now, if I want to go back to my, okay, before this, let's enter another directory. So enter another directory, I can say CD, let me see, what should I go to? CD application. So another hint, guys, is be very careful when you're typing. If I say CD, let's say applications, what does it say? Command not found. Can somebody tell me why?
Yeah, it's case sensitive.
It's very case sensitive. You have to be very careful, unless I use small letters before it would work. Now, another tip is some names of files are quite long. Like now this Octa Terraform, right? If I want to, I can just be typing Octa Terraform. Like it's so stressful. But if I want to make my life easier, I can just press tab and it will complete it for me. Do you guys see that? Of course, you can't see my keyboard, but if I want to complete, I can just write the first thing. If I say O, okay, let me say A. I have two projects, Android Studio projects and applications, right? So if I just write A and I tab, it will show me two things. Like, okay, these are the things that start with A. Then I can continue and say, okay, I want to access applications. If I write P and I press my tab key, it's going to complete it. And all I have to do is enter. So now where are we? We're in home in my applications directory. So this is a directory in a directory, right? If I say ls again to see the files here, it just says Chrome apps.localized. This is also a folder. Are we getting this? Right. Now, if I want to go back, let's say we want to go back to my home directory. If I print working directory, what does it say? We're in home Ubuntu home applications. If I want to go back, I can see CD space ... Where does it go? It takes me back. But now assuming, let's say I want to enter something like Android Studio projects. Let me see, what file do I have here? Okay, I can say CD ODKX. If I ls, I have so many things. Let's say I'm entering CD services. So guys, look at this. We currently have how many folders that we're in? We came from here, we're in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So imagine, because I want to go back to this this Ubuntu directory, and I start saying CD ... Let's say I have 10 folders I've entered in, and I keep going CD ... Will I do that 10 times? It doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't. So instead, I can say CD and use this character. Where is it? I always find it on my keyboard. What's the name of this character, guys? I don't even know what it's called. This wavy character. Who knows the name? Anybody? Okay. Nobody knows. All of us are illiterates. Anyway, so this character will take me back to my home directory. That's where we started from. No matter where I am in the system, it will always take me back to where I started from. So now if I click enter, you see where it took us back to? We are back home. If I say PWD, that's print working directory, it shows me home, Ubuntu, and that's it. We're back. So instead of saying CD ... It's just a waste of time. You can only do that except if maybe you're going back to somewhere right? For example, you don't want to go back home. Maybe you want to go back to Android Studio projects. You can ask CD ... twice to go there. Also, another thing about CD, you don't need to keep CD ls every time. Like now, I did something, right? I will say CD, because maybe I don't know the files I have on my system. I did something like ls, and I say CD home, right, and all of that. So, yes. I have somebody's hands raised. Okay. I thought somebody's hands was raised. Anyway, can you guys see my screen? I think.
Hi, Amina. Sorry, I was dragging and going up and down with my screen. So I was one that dropped a comment. I was trying to, talk about that character that you mentioned.
Okay, squiggly. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Yay!
Sorry
At
for
least you
drawing
learned
that.
something. Because I didn't know it was so squiggly. So yeah, the squiggly character. So now, when I said that, in case if you don't know the folder, I wanted to say, in case if you know where you're going to, you don't need to keep saying ls, 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 right? So I can just say maybe cd, right? I can say I want to go to, so sorry guys, I'm going to open this. I'm going to open another folder. Okay, I'm just going to copy this. I know I have documents, all right? So I'm just going to go back home and do like cd. I can say cd if I know I'm going to, I know I have a home directory, right? I have home. And if I click tab, tab can even help you confirm that you actually do. If I say HO, I click tab, it completes it for me. I say, okay, I want to go to maybe, I know in my home, I have my documents folder, right? If I start with doc, it will complete it for me. Okay, it says that I have 2DO, docs or downloads, and I want my documents. If I go this, now in the documents I have, the files I have in my documents, I cannot remember, I don't know. So I'm going to stop here. But if I click enter, it takes me there. So you can write more than one path to enter that directory. And if I say ls, I'll see all the documents. Okay, why am I missing everything? That's funny. I thought I had files. Yes, Rashida. Is that somebody's hand or something? Rashida, sorry, is somebody's hand on?
Oh, I think the notification was someone that was joining the call. Sorry about
Oh,
that.
okay. So also, guys, there's something I want to show you, just a hint, right? So we have a lot of commands in Linux, right? Sometimes you don't know what all the commands are for. So there's something you do. I can just say man, right? I don't think if I click man, it will tell me man what do I want? So if I want to see all man, so each command on Linux normally would have additional.
Sorry, Amina. Sorry, which screen are you sharing? I'm seeing your multicast terminal. Is it the same one you're working with?
Yeah, that's the same one I'm working on.
Oh,
You're
it's
not
like
someone.
it's frozen. It's like it's frozen on my hand.
If I scroll, can you see anything?
Yes, now I can see that it's scrolling now. Yes.
Okay. So that's where I am. Can you see this man here at the bottom?
Yes, I can see it now. Thank you.
Okay. So now if I say man, so most commands in Linux have descriptions, right? There's a name of the command and then it has add-ons. So like now, if I say ls, let's see, I think a, sorry, it's supposed to say lsa. It's not the same thing. I'm just gonna go back here. So if I say lsa, it's going to list everything. Things that end with dot, you will notice it didn't pick it up here when I would just said ls, right? But ls means lsa means do not ignore like entities or files that start with dot, this dot. Don't ignore them. That's what it means. But sometimes you don't know what these things, this, like now if I didn't tell you about A, there are so many, there's B, there's H, there's so many. So you need to know what sometimes this command means. You can just say man, right? And say ls. So man is used to find out what all commands are for. See what it tells me? It tells me, okay, if I use LSA, do not ignore this, B to do this, C to do this, D to list directory, not their contents. So many. If I keep scrolling, it will tell me a lot more. You see, guys? So you can go through this and just see what it means, right? So I'm going to press quit to go out of this. That's a good way to know what add-ons are on a command. Now, moving on. We're going to now learn how to manage files and directories. So we need to learn how to create, delete, and modify files and directories. So we're going to be creating a new directory in my home, right? If I say pwd, it shows you at home. So now I want to create a directory called, let's say, DevOps classes. And to do that, there's something called mkdir, this thing, mkdir. This means make. And that's the funny thing about Linux. Most of the commands are kind of explanatory. Because if I tell you mkdir, you're like, what does that mean? But mk means make, dir means directory. And when I do this, mkdir, let's say DevOps classes, right? And I click enter, it creates a folder called DevOps classes. If I do ls and I check on that M, later on I'll show you guys how to find for specific files. Let me see, I have to go to D, sorry. D. You see it here? DevOps classes. Here we have it. Great. And I did mention that you would see it in a folder, right? And that's all it does for you. Now we should cd into this directory. DevOps, I can click my tab, it will complete for me. And this is what I have. So I'm going to clear my screen. So there's another command. If I want to clear, I'm pretty sure most of you now are just looking at the bottom. It's getting stressful, right? Let's say I want to just clear. I can say clear. That's all it means. It deletes everything there. And I'm back. I started afresh. So now, once I clear my screen and I've navigated into the directory we just created, if I say pwd, it shows me that we're there, we're in DevOps classes. And even if I don't do pwd, sometimes on this, where this quickly, it says Ubuntu at primary, that's the username, the name of the instance, and then it's this quickly thing, and then it shows us the path of where in. Sometimes you don't even need to do pwd, you know. So now we have created this directory we're in. We're now going to create a file in this directory. Sometimes we have the whole, like Windows users, I think you guys have, what's the name of this, you people's text? What's it called? To create texts. Yeah, you guys have a name of a file, software. I can't remember the name. But on Linux, or when you're using a terminal, you can do this also from there. Anything you can do there, you can do it here. So to create an empty file, you can use the command called touch. This touch command does nothing but create an empty file. So if I say touch test one dot maybe, let's say txt, it's good to add the extension, right? Because you are going to create so many commands. Sometimes it might be just JavaScript files. Sometimes it might be HTML files, and they all have what they end it, .html, .py for Python, .yaml for YAML, right? I want to create a text file, so I'm just going to say touch test1.txt. Now, we have created it. If I say ls, my file is there, right? Don't forget, guys, touch is to create an empty file. Now, let's edit this file. To edit this file, there are different editors on Linux, but the most popular are Vim or Nano. So let me go back here. I don't think it tells me. Okay, it tells you Vim or Nano. Those are the two popular text editors. It depends on your preference. Let me put it into the house. Have we used Vim or Nano? Anybody? Except Rashida and Safe, please. You have? Which one do you prefer?
Nano.
Nano. Personally, I prefer Vim. Rashida, which one do you prefer? And a lot of people hate Vim, but I'm just used to it. Rashida, Vim or Nano as the text editor? And I'll show you guys different things now. Nano, please. You see? I don't know where Rashida is saying. So the thing is, I like Vim just because when I started DevOps, I found a lot of people hated it. And as the hard girl that I am, I decided to go for Vim. I had no reason, to the extent that I'm so used to Vim right now that I don't know how to use Nano as well as Vim. That's what happened to me. So it's just very funny. It's just like me being stubborn, right? So let me use Nano first, everybody's favorite. So I can say Nano, that is the text editor. I now have to call the name of the file, which is test.txt.1. I be test1.txt. And if I say enter, you see it brings us here. This is the name of the file here. It's already telling you. In this file, I can write anything I want. So since this is just a simple text, I can just say, hello, my name is Amina, and I'm teaching basics of Linux today. Okay. Yay. And that's all. Nano is very friendly because see, I can type. I'll show you guys why people hate. I can do anything. If I want to delete this file, all I need to do is come like this, go, and it's gone, Nano is just like super chill to work with. Now, this is what I don't like about Nano, all these options down here. So it's really nice when you know how to use them because it tells you what to do about it. So this write out, I think it's to save, read file. You have different ways. Where is my maybe text? Replace so part, cut this part, Control K. Right now, if I type
Sorry,
this,
can I Nano interface?
you can't see my Nano interface?
Yeah, I don't know if it's only for my.
Yeah, I think it's frozen. The screen is
Okay.
frozen or something.
Okay. What about now?
Yeah, I
Can you,
can see it now.
can you see my cursor? Can you see my cursor? And what I'm
I
typing?
can see your nano screen now. I don't know about entire.
But
Yes,
can you
now.
see what I'm typing? Can you see what I'm typing?
Yes, it's lagging.
Okay. Okay. That's great then. So if I come here and so now if I want to delete, I could just be doing backspace, right? There's a waste of time. But if I go to my, what Nano tells me, the shortcut, it says if I say Control K, I can cut, right? So let's do it. Oh no, pick me out. Safe, why is you put Nano not working? Because she's not my friend. Saying Control K, nothing to cut.
I mean, I think you should check the chat.
Yeah, check the chat. So Rashida is dragging me because of I always mock her frozen screen. That's why she's dragging me. I don't know. Google Meet has been having this problem whereby when you're sharing your entire screen, it kind of like freezes it up for you. Anyway, so I'm supposed to I don't know. Say if Nano users, I should be able to like select my block of text, right? And I should be able to use Control K. It says nothing was cut. Hello.
No, that's not how it works.
How does it work?
So I think usually what I do is I do the highlight with like the shift button here. So from like the beginning of where you want to start highlighting to the end, you use the shift to like highlight everything. Then you Control K, then Control, like that.
I swear that's what I did. And mine is not working.
What happened?
Anyway,
Something.
guys, as I've mentioned, I am not in Nano. So it's up
But
to you.
side note also, yeah, I think I actually am with Ami now on Vim because as much as I really like Nano and naturally Nano this, Nano that, like every time, is like
Yeah.
whenever you traditionally want to edit a file, yeah, they would give you Vim. I don't know how to explain this, but I think I'll leave Amina to go in depth and explain this more. But yeah, Vim is actually quite nice to be used to a very large extent.
Yep. Because I won't lie to you guys. My last time I used Nano was probably in 2021. And I think one thing is Nano is very nice for beginners, to be honest. You don't need prior knowledge because you have all these hints at the bottom, right? And it's visible. You can save, exit, and open files. Like now, if I want to exit this file, okay, let's save first, right? I think let's say Control O. You guys see that? If
Sorry, I think
see,
it's still. I don't know if it's just me, but your screen is still frozen.
I swear it's Google Meet. I think I'll just share a particular, instead of sharing my entire screen, I'll just share this page. Because I realize when you share your entire screen, Rashida, stop
Rashida
that.
is having a field. She's having a
Stop
fun
that
field day. You must
Stop
have
that
really.
doing. But I'm like always dragging her. Always.
I mean, I don't you want to update your Chrome, maybe you won't have this problem anymore. Like update your Chrome. Update it.
So guys, it's not
Delete
your
it.
fault.
In fact,
Do you hear me? It's not your fault. It's just life that happened to me today. Eh? Okay. I'll just share a window. I guess that's better. I'm finding I think I'm using multiple screens, so it's not allowing me to do that. Oh. Sorry guys, I'm looking at something. So I'm using 2 screens and yeah, it's not showing me my work. I'm still gonna share. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, I can
Yes, I
see your
can.
screen, but we don't know now if it's frozen or not. So maybe try moving around. Let's see.
Is it?
Yeah, it's frozen. Or is it just me?
You
Are
guys
you
understand what
moving your
Oh, I'm even
Yep.
typing.
Okay, we can see
Wow.
once you slide off the screen, we can
Yeah,
actually
you
see
can
what's
see.
up.
Can you
But
still
then once
see?
you're like, Rashida, oh gosh,
Interesting, guys. Wait. This must be fixed today. I think I don't know how can we report to what's their name that they are
Google Meet.
stressed. Yeah.
At this point, I think we actually need to raise the matter because I don't understand what's going on.
So I have to move my windows to my other screen so that I can check out. Give me a minute. Hmm. Why are we begging? Who are we begging? So guys, I'll just be sharing one window because at this point, I need you guys to see what I'm doing. Okay. Can you guys see if I'm telling? I can even see my screen now. So also, I'm seeing what I'm presenting to you guys here.
Yeah, your cursor is moving around. So maybe try typing. Let's see if we're still on. Good. I think that looks
All
good.
right. So I'm looking at my presentation here also. Sorry, I think I want to see what people are gossiping about. Sorry. Okay, I should beg you. God forbid. Anyway, so wait. I mean, this my nothing was scotch. I am giving up. Anyway, so to save a file in Nano, is this write out? I don't know why they named it write out. It's very confusing, right? Why not just say save? I don't know for them. But all you need to do is say Control O. And once you say Control O, it will ask you, okay, is this the file name you want? Here, if I say no, I can change my file name. You see, I can change it. But since I don't change it, I'm leaving my thing the way it is. Good. Then I can say, okay, what format, US format, Mac format. What is apprehend and prehend? What? Guys, sorry, I don't know this. Anyway, once I click enter, it's saved. So it says wrote 16 lines, which means saved 16 lines. And to exit this file, who can tell me what to do? Anybody?
Control X.
Thank you very much, Mary. Control X, and I am out of this beautiful editor called Nano. So also, I think, let me finish going through Nano and Vim, and then we can talk about their differences and all of that, right? So let me continue. Now I'm going to show you guys something. So now that you have the file, there are different ways to view the content of a file. When you're using, what do you call them? Nano, if I want to do, I can just open it up again, right? And just be like Nano test1 txt. I can see the file, right? And I can leave as fast. But also I can use something called cat, C-A-T. So if I say cat test1, see, on my terminal is going to print everything out for me. I don't need to open the file. So it's not every time you want to open a file to do something. Sometimes you just need to cat it out. So cat, and if you have a cat, I think it should be easy for you to remember. This is how you do it. Then we're going to use Vim to open this. So I'm going to say Vim test2.txt. Can you guys see Vim? Can you see my Vim? Okay, you can.
Yes.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we can.
I want you to notice something. When we entered Nano, I immediately started typing. Like, I didn't have a problem, right? On Vim, it will never happen. I can't type on Vim. I'll just see a blank screen with my file name like at the bottom of the text, right? And that's it. But before I type, I have to say something like I. I means insert. So now I've pressed I on my keyboard. Sorry, I'm on the wrong screen. If I say I, and then now I can type. Okay, you see it has changed from the bottom. It says insert. Now if I type, it's going to work. You see? So I'm just going to say, hi, this is my first DevOps class. Very simple, right? I can enter, go to the next line, and all of that. Now, another thing I'll show you difference between Nano and Vim is that, okay, so, sorry guys, I kind of forgot what I swear the next thing I wanted to say. All right, so Nano, you can type whatever you want, right, immediately. For Vim, you have to activate it by pressing I, right? And before you save this file, you have to say something like escape. You see, guys, I've clicked escape on my keyboard. Once I say escape, I'll say W. I'll say, sorry, colon. I have to say like a colon first. Then I say WQ. Then I leave. Is Vim looking fun, guys? Is it looking like something you like? I know it's not really as nice as Vim. So that's how you save and escape in Vim. You need to say escape. You have to press the escape key, then you have to do the colon W key and you hit enter and then you're left. That's it. So if I want to be the contents to a Vim, I can just say cat test, whatever, I think it's test2.txt, and I can see my content. Okay, so that's Vim and VI. Let me tell you something. So there's something where Rashida mentioned, okay, sorry, she didn't mention earlier, but let me just tell you what it means. So functionally, like Vim is just a superset of VI. To me, I think it's even an alias sometimes because anything that is in Vim is also in VI, and everything that is in VI, it's also in Vim. You guys understand? It's literally the same UI. So the thing is, VI is like a text editor from the early days of Unix. This I'm talking about, guys, early 2000s. Maybe some of us were in primary school time, right? So that's what they used to use. They used to use like VI-like editors. That was it. But anything that is in Vim is also in VI. In fact, I think if I check, I can check, let me see. Because then also, if I want to open a file, let me just say, like, see, you see it's the same thing. vi, let me say mary.txt. You see it's the same terminal, it's the same UI and everything. That's the same thing. That's how it works with V. So I just sometimes I look at VI as like an alias for Vim, but it's literally the same thing. So I'm gonna say hi, I'm Mary. All right. So yes, to save this, I'm gonna say escape. Okay, guys, I just noticed something. I noticed something right now. I noticed something. When I said vi mary.txt, okay, don't worry, ignore me. So if I'm not saving something on my
Sorry, I
editor,
think that's what I
like now,
wanted to ask.
sorry, Mary, I didn't catch that.
So I wanted to say that you've not created the file before. So VI like creates the file if it doesn't exist.
Both of them do the same.
The mary.txt that you use VI for.
Oh, yeah, but then I can also use it to open a file. You understand?
Okay, okay.
Or maybe I'm not getting what you're saying. Maybe I'm not getting, but it also does the same thing. I can use it to open a file also. But I thought I noticed something, but then I was wrong. So I wanted to show you guys that because of what do you call it? I'm not making changes here. I don't need to say WQ. WQ means to save. If I just want to exit, all I have to say is escape. I put in my colon and I say Q, and then I'm out of here. And if I want to cut the file, I can say mary.txt, and then she's out, right? So moving on, this is just a brief summary of how to use editors. There's like so much more you can do, right? So now we're going to be doing like a bunch of stuff. So first of all, we're going to create 2 directories. Remember we spoke about, okay, hold on, everyone tell me, how do we create directories?
mkdir.
Thank you very much, goodness. So we said mkdir. So now imagine I want to create 5 folders. It wouldn't make sense to say mkdir1, folder 1, enter. mkdir1, folder 2, enter. That's like a waste of time, right? So Linux has this thing where you can just specify all the names on one place. I can say mkdir, I can say maybe scripts, right? Apps, etc. So these are just names of my folders. If I click enter, it works, right? If it didn't work, it will tell you command not found or invalid something. If I say ls, I can see my folders, scripts and apps. It's all there, right? Now, that's how to create multiple files. So we're going to also create multiple, sorry, that's how to create multiple folders at once. We're going to also create multiple files at once. So we already have how to create files. We said we can use touch, right, to create an empty file. If I use nano or Vim, it's going to create a file and open the editor. That is the difference. And I can also create an empty file and use nano and Vim to open that file. It just doesn't matter, right? So now to create multiple files, we can maybe, let's enter one of this directory, which will say cd. Let's say I'm entering scripts. Enter. And I'll create multiple files in this directory. I can say touch. I can say maybe test3.txt. I can say script.sh. If I enter and I do ls, they have been created very easily. All you need to do is list them one after the other after the command, right? So now I want to show you guys how to move and rename files. When you have your file, what do you call them? That your GUI for file, all you need to do is drag and drop, right? But it don't work that way here, and that's how it works. There's a command for renaming files called mv. That's why I told you Linux is very nice because there's so many things that from the words, they're abbreviations of like English for us. So now let's say we want to move a file to another directory. So let me go out of the script. right? So if I say ls, these are the files we have. Let's say I want to move this test1.txt to the scripts directory. All I have to say is mv test1.txt, right? That's the file. Then I have to say the name of the directory. Name of the directory is scripts. I say tab, it's slash, a tab's completed for me, and I say enter. Now, if we enter scripts, and I do ls, you see it here. Text1.txt has been moved. So it's the same thing as dragging and dropping file into another folder. All you need to do is use the move command. So if you want to rename a file, right, you can use mv2, which is move, to rename a file. So I can say that, I can say mv, the name of the file that I want to rename, let's say test1.txt, right? I can change it to, let me say, DevOps notes.txt. Enter. If I say ls, you see it's been changed. I've changed it. So it's pretty chill, right? You use one command to rename and move files in a directory. That's very nice. Now, let's say we want to remove a file like test2 or test3.txt. Remove is just rm. So I can say rm test3.txt. Enter. It's gone. If I say ls, it's not there anymore. And please, I want to say something. You see this rm command? It should be your enemy. Do not use it until it is needed. Because if you delete a file, it is gone. There's no, what do you call it, recycle bin that you go back to and pick it up. Like it has gone. Seriously. So you have to be very careful with it. Do not use it until necessary. And if I want to remove, let's say, now I've shown you how to remove a file, rm, the name of the file. If we want to remove a directory, I can just say rm, right? If I just call the name of the directory, let me see, what directory did we create earlier? Apps. You see what it said? It cannot remove apps because it's a directory. So you have to remove the directory and its content. So you have to say rm-r apps, let's say, and it's gone. If I say ls, you won't see it anymore. If I want to remove scripts, I can say rm-r scripts. If I do ls, my scripts directory has gone. That's how easy it is. So you have to use the -r option, which stands for recursive, meaning that it will delete the folder and everything inside. And that's it. So moving on, we're going to be working with, what do you call it? I'm losing my train of thoughts. On my doc, which I can even share with you guys, I guess. I'll share after the class. So the notes I'm using. So we're going to be talking about managing file permissions and ownership, right? So Ubuntu, or should I say Linux, is very important to have permissions. When you're using a server, when you're on a server, there are things like the root user, which is like has all admin rights, let me say. Then there are normal users who you can give permissions to. For example, now if we're in a company with all of you, and maybe Mary is a senior DevOps engineer, Goodness is a junior DevOps engineer, and I want Mary to have more access than Goodness, I can use commands to set those permissions. I can use commands to ensure that there are files that Goodness cannot see, because maybe so I'll show you guys now. Let me just show it to you. So for example, now let's say if you want to check file permissions, right? So we have 2 files here, and I want to make more folders. So things, let me see, like my script folder that I just made, it's there, right? And everything. So if I want to see permissions, I can say LSL. L means list detailed file information. LS was just list files. but this -L means detailed filed information. And if I click enter, you see this, it says total 12. It shows me the files and what's there, right? So RW, RRR, DRRW, blah, 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 blah. It shows you. So what these things means, there are 3 types of permissions on files and directories. One is for the owner. You understand? The other is for the group, and one is for others. And the letters represent, R means read, W means write, and X means execute. Those are the permissions. So that represent the file permissions. So you can change however permissions you like. So for example, now, I'm going to enter the scripts folder. So cd scripts, right? I want to create a file called DevOps that we deleted. Let me see the notes. Right? And if I do my LSL to check the detailed list, I can see that it says, okay, so the types of permission, right? This read write is for the owner. For the, what's the other person I said? The other one for the group R, and the third one is for others R. So this is what we have. Now I want to change permissions to this file. I can use change mode. This is how it's spelled, CHMOD, is to change permissions, right? So if I say change mode 600, it means that, and I call the name of my file, and I do this, and I go LSL again. Do you guys see it has changed? So what change mode 600 means is that only the owner can read and write to the file. Nobody has access to it again. Remember what I said? The first one is for the owner, the second one is for the group, and the third one is for others. Now we have deleted everybody else, group and others. Only the owner can see and edit and modify or whatever file. Nobody else has access to it. And since I am the owner, I can see it if I want to. So that's what change mode 600 is for. There are more commands. There are more change mode commands. There's change mode 700, change mode 699. But I'll leave it for people to go and research and try it out on your own. I'm even like way beyond time. I've consumed so much of your time, and I need to quickly start rounding up. And then another thing is how to change file ownership, right? So there's another one called, I don't know how you guys pronounce it, but chown. Well, me, I just say change owner. I can't pronounce it as chown. So this changes the file owner. So now, if I say, I'll just show you guys something. So if I say sudo root, let me see, DevOps notes.txt, right? So this changes the file owner. And funny thing is, when I say file owner, I remember I said that on a, let's say on the server, we can have different users. Maybe Rashida has created some files and, or how would I even explain this to you guys? So Rashida created a file, but then she wants to give the root user access. So root user is normally the person who I said has the super, like has all privileges, right? And because I am this root user, this works. But if I have Rashida is a user, she needs to add something called sudo. If not, it would never work because she doesn't have root privileges. But because I have root privileges and I'm working on my root account, is why I can run this command without saying sudo. Sudo means super user privileges. So, and if you type this, you probably need to, this is, you see, same permission denied. You probably need to add a password. That's how it works on like a server. Sorry guys, I don't know. Give me a minute. Mm-mm. Can you guys still see my screen? I just had a light issue right now. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, we can see your screen. Yeah.
Thank you. So that's what that is for. Just to change file owner. So I think when we start working on cloud, this will be easier to understand. But Yeah. Oh my God, we're almost rounding up. But also, in summary, right? There's so many things you can do. There's so many other commands. I think when we come tomorrow, we'll go in depth, and we're going to be working with bash scripting. So there are things like if I say ping.google.com. So this just means ping.google.com. This is a bit more of like networking part. Maybe sometimes you want to listen into like an IP or a domain name. That's how that works. Sorry, guys. Can you just give me a minute, please? Okay, ladies, I am back. Can you guys see my screen? Okay. So to stop this, I'm just going to do a control. Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we
Yes,
can
we
hear
can
you.
hear you.
So thing the Google that I ran was just to like it sends a request to the server, right? Like the server on google.com and check if it's online. So sometimes maybe when you can't access some things, you can just ping the domain name or the IP itself. And there are different things. I think we're going to talk about networking stuff later on. And yeah, it's going to be fun. So that's all from my end. I can use maybe the last 2 minutes to talk about Nano and Vim if you guys want and tell you the key differences. Do you guys want that? Or are you good? Because I know we're beyond time. You guys want that? There's some explanation. So
Yes, please. Go ahead, please.
okay. Okay. Number one, from what you guys saw, Nano was simple to use, right? Um, it's very easy. But Vim is very powerful and is very versatile, right? And you have to know a lot of commands honestly to work in Vim because it's for advanced users, right? And it's very flexible and very customizable compared to Nano. In fact, like once you're very good with Vim, it's so easy to manipulate large text and everything. So that's one reason why people use it. Nano has no modes. By mode, I mean when we entered Vim, we had to type I, right? Which like sometimes is not fun, honestly. It's very that I think that's one of the most annoying parts of it. It's not fun. Like we had to type in I before we could say anything. Okay, it's changing. Okay, it's a read only file. Sorry, I forgot we changed. You see now that we changed the permission, we changed the permission of the file. It's telling me it's a read only file, which means I cannot edit it. I can't. Right? So whatever I'm doing, SSK, RQ, it's not going to work until I say I want to override it. So that's how Nano works. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So it's like it has no modes. You can type right away. All your commands are there on the screen. That's why we call it beginner friendly, right? But Vim has multiple modes from the insert, escape, and everything. And then like also, um, most jobs I would say, and most people I have seen in the industry would mostly use like Vim. But honestly, use what works best for you, right? You need to memorize some things to use Vim. For Nano, you don't need to do that. Nano is good for small edits, right? But Vim, very efficient. Maybe if you have large files, very long files and everything, Vim, it supports plugins, you can basically do your scripting on Vim. Very good for automation, and all of that. So, but I would advise that you get familiar with both. You know, sometimes you want something simple, sometimes you want maybe the power of Vim for the tax. Depends on the tax at hand. For me, I will not lie to you people. I hardly use Vim. And that's it. So that's all from my end. Thank you guys for coming to this class. Is there any question for me before we round up? For like 30 minutes.
You said that you were supposed to give us something to work on later.
Yep, I did say so. So there is a take home, which I think I'll send to the Slack channel right now. It's even in my document, but I want to make it a bit more complicated for you guys, right? Sorry, it's my plan. So yeah, I'm going to make it more complicated for you guys, and then I'll send it into the Slack channel, and then everybody works on it individually, and then tomorrow you need to come and show me what you've done. Like, I want you to present your screen to show me the files, the commands, the resources, everything, the permissions. I want to see them tomorrow. So we'll send it into the Slack channel. And is that all you have to ask me? Yes, Rashida.
So, in case there are no further questions and we have enough time, I don't know if you can just drop the link to your assignments in the chat. So, save if you could just review some of their tasks for those that did to the last week assignment.
Sorry, do you mean chat here on this call or the one on Slack?
No, yeah, on the call.
On the call.
One thing, Grandma.
Save, is that good with you?
Yeah, sure. It's
Okay.
definitely yes.
So if you not do it, everybody will sit like that.
Goodness, don't be shy. We will not judge you.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, so I think let me just start sharing my screen so that I will take a look at this. Please let me know when you can't see my screen. Oh no. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I'll just go to the repo, yeah, and view it from here. But okay, before I do that, let me just quickly scroll a little bit. And so Mutia, just to confirm, yeah, you posted this here because you couldn't like add pictures on your GitHub repo, yeah? Or is it on that reason?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
I said, did you post this here because you couldn't get, like, you were unable to post these images on your GitHub repo?
I didn't try that.
Okay, you didn't try it at all. Okay. So let me just open this GitHub link here so that, because I think the assignments were dominantly meant to be submitted. Everything was supposed to be like on a GitHub repository, and the bulk of this is because like that's the environment you're going to find yourself working with a lot, and it's just to get you used to it, and just know that whatever it is that you're trying to do, you can always do everything there. So like that was majorly the point. But I see some files here. So to check, this group is Mutia and Lizzie. I cannot see. I don't think Lizzie's on this call, is she? Sorry?
She's not here.
Okay, Elizabeth is not on this call. All right, cool. So let me just go through this assignment and I'll be making corrections as we go. just for, next time, and like, when you need to do something like this again. So first things first, we have the README file here, which was typically where everything is supposed to be. So all of the changes and all the I think the task was for you to write down a summary of everything that you basically did last week. Yeah. So everything, the summary of like what you did is meant to be here as a text file. Yeah. Then those screenshots were supposed to like come under it, and like this is you explaining parts of like the things that you did. Maybe I didn't specify that properly, but that's majorly what the task was supposed to be about. But I see that you actually did everything. I think let me just take a look at these other files. Okay. Okay. Okay, I see Lizzie posted some pictures here. Mutia, I'm sorry. I think I made a mistake earlier. I remember now that I mentioned that the file name should be of your choosing, not necessarily a README file. And I see that you did that here, so it's totally fine. I think you're on track with what we wanted. I think this looks good from my end. Yeah, this looks good. This looks good. I think over time, when we like keep going through some of these classes, we would learn file structure, because some of these things are actually very important for when you go off to the real world to start working on projects and whatnot. Like everything has to be structured, everything has to be in a particular set. But as we go on, I'm sure we'd be able to discuss this further, and we'd figure out how to get you guys to do that better now. So I can see the Git commits that were made directly from Git. I really wanted to see your command line, not just your GitHub. I wanted to see your command line screenshots also of like you successfully making like a push, successfully making like a commit, and all of those things. Like maybe just one, doesn't have to be like a lot. So I think that's also another just correction I'd just like to make. Sorry?
I said I didn't know we would have added that.
Oh, okay. So just part of everything that we actually meant to talk about. But all in all, this looks really good, and I like your attempt for the first time is really great, and I would definitely give you guys points for that. And great teamwork. I can see that the fork was done, the clone was done, and yeah, so great job. So let me just review one other person so that we don't take too much time, and then afterwards. So we have Goodness and Mary.
Please, that link I sent is not working. I sent another one, the last link for goodness.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, cool. All right, wonderful. Okay, so we have the README file, which contains the learnings, the highlights of your learnings. And then we have this file here. Okay. So let me just shift this to so okay, Fox repository, original repository. So Mary created the repository and you forked it, and then the file changes were made, the branches were created, commits were made, the merge was done.